Imagine spending 3 months trapped inside a billion-dollar warship where a missed shower slot, a bad night's sleep, or one mistake during resupply can affect hundreds of people. 300 sailors live, work, eat, and sleep inside the same steel hull. So, how do destroyer crews survive months at sea without running out of food, losing their minds, or making a mistake that could put the entire mission at risk? The moment a destroyer pulls away from the dock, the ship becomes everything. The workplace, the bedroom, and the dining hall, all at once. There is no walking outside to clear your head, and no going home at the end of a shift. Home disappears the second the ship clears the harbor. Work and rest happen inside the exact same walls. A sailor coming off a 6-hour watch in the Combat Information Center can walk 20 steps, climb down one ladder, and land in the same berthing space where a dozen shipmates are still asleep from their own rotation. There is no real line between duty and downtime here, only the ship and whatever is happening inside it. That is exactly why nothing on board is left to chance. Every sailor gets an assigned space, a fixed schedule, and a clear set of duties, because 300 people sharing a few hundred feet of steel cannot survive on guesswork. And the very first system that has to work, before anything else can, is the one that decides whether everyone on board actually gets fed. Feeding over 300 sailors for 3 months takes more planning than most would guess, since supply officers calculate food quantities months before the ship ever leaves port. To put it into perspective, a destroyer serves close to 900 meals daily, not counting snacks. Here is where it gets interesting. A ship this advanced should have automatic systems carrying food to the kitchen. It does not. Food still moves almost the way it did decades ago, carried by hand through passageways and up ladders, because the cargo system never connects to the galley. One of the most advanced warships ever built still depends on sailors hauling food from deck to deck, by hand. Fresh produce never lasts the whole deployment. The first weeks bring real variety, but once that runs out, the menu shifts toward frozen and canned supplies. Meal service runs 4 times a day, including a midnight meal called Mid-Rats, made for sailors whose watch never lines up with normal hours. Some nights, it is simple leftovers. Other nights, it might be the only vegetable a night shift sailor sees all day. The ship cannot carry 3 months of food at once, so resupply happens at sea while the ship keeps moving, with no room for a single mistake. A supply ship pulls alongside, both holding the exact same speed, separated by only a couple hundred feet, and connected by hoses and cables stretched between them. One wrong move from either vessel could end the transfer instantly, or worse. It happens every 2 to 3 weeks, the only thing standing between the crew and running out of food. Solving that problem still leaves another resource stretched even thinner: water. Every gallon of fresh water aboard a destroyer must stretch across drinking, cooking, cooling machinery, and washing for more than 300 people. That pressure is exactly why the Navy shower exists, and it is not a polite suggestion. The method is strict: get wet, shut the water off while lathering up, then turn it back on only to rinse. The whole routine is built to stay under 2 minutes. But here is the part most people do not expect. There is one exception, and sailors call it a Hollywood shower. Unlimited hot water, unlimited time, no rationing at all. After weeks of strict 2-minute showers, that becomes something close to a celebration. The same discipline carries into laundry. Washing machines run on a fixed schedule, and missing your slot means waiting for the next one. No exceptions. The thing is, none of this works unless everyone follows the same rules, because one person taking too long does not just cost them time. It costs the 10 people waiting behind them theirs too. That kind of discipline does not happen by accident, because staying clean turns out to be the easier fight compared to what comes next. If you respect the kind of discipline it takes to live like this every single day, write "respect" in the comments below. A destroyer never actually shuts down. Radar keeps tracking, engines keep running, and weapons stay ready at any hour, which means someone is always watching. Most ships split their crew into 3 rotating sections, so on paper everyone gets time for watch duty, maintenance, and 8 hours of sleep. In reality, it rarely holds up that cleanly. A sailor on an early watch might wake nearly 2 hours before the shift starts, just to walk the ship and get briefed before stepping onto the bridge. Add inspections, drills, and maintenance that cannot wait, and the hours meant for rest get eaten first, because the work still has to get done. And the numbers prove just how serious that gap really is. Government reviews found sailors on some ships logging over 100 hours of work a week, with officials warning the pace put safety and performance at risk. The Navy eventually rebuilt its watch schedules to protect sleep, and ships that made the switch saw a difference almost right away. Even when sleep does come, there is not much comfort waiting for it. Bunks stack 3 or 4 high, just 6.5 feet long and 30 inches wide, with a storage locker underneath for everything a sailor owns. Taller sailors sleep diagonally. Everyone adjusts, because there is no other bunk to ask for. Managing exhaustion is one battle. What 3 straight months of it does to a person's mind is a different one entirely. Sharing 505 feet of steel with 300 people for 3 months changes how a person thinks about space. Privacy does not exist the way it does on land, so sailors build their own. Keep shared spaces clean, respect someone else's rack, and avoid lingering where you should not be. None of it is official, but breaking these unwritten rules creates friction nobody has room for. What keeps the crew from breaking under that pressure is a handful of small things the Navy builds into the routine. A ship's store sells snacks and simple comforts, with profits going back into morale funds for the crew. Steel beach picnics, a barbecue held right on deck, give everyone a short break from the same walls they have stared at for weeks. Card games and shared movies become the moments people remember long after deployment ends. Underneath all of it sits something heavier. Missing a birthday or a simple phone call home does not get easier after 3 months. Communication stays limited, sometimes cut off completely for security, so sailors learn to focus on what is right in front of them instead of how far away home is. By the final stretch of deployment, something quietly shifts. The short showers, the scheduled laundry, the narrow bunk, the constant closeness to the same faces. The routines that once felt restrictive become automatic, woven so deeply into daily life that sailors stop noticing them altogether. What seemed difficult during the first weeks slowly becomes normal, simply because there is no other way to live aboard the ship. Months of repetition reshape expectations until comforts that once seemed essential no longer feel necessary. By then, the crew is no longer adapting to life at sea. Life at sea has become their normal reality. None of it feels unusual anymore.